So in the spirit of personalization, I have a little story for you all. Yesterday was my 20-year wedding anniversary. And to celebrate, I actually spent a night in a hotel room with Mark Flaherty. So I have a very understanding wife, and as a young company, we are very fiscally responsible. So what we're going to cover today are three key themes. We're going to go through a discussion about the fact that the new normal in our businesses is all about customer experience. The fact that the requirement for driving a great customer experience is about customer-centric engagement, and that the way that you drive a great customer engagement is by making it personal, valuable, and digital. So every company recognizes that there are a number of ways that you compete. You need to have a good product, you need to have a fair price, and you need to have a good service level. And those are pretty standard for everybody in the room. All of us are running or responsible for portions of our business. When companies think about how to compete, there's usually a focus on one of those three disciplines as primary. So some companies focus on product innovation. And if you look at it, you can see several of these companies that at one point were recognized as great innovators. However, with today's rapid technology change and with the speed of new products being introduced, the reality is it's difficult to maintain leadership with product innovation. The second option is to focus on differentiating based on value. And this actually is a good strategy for acquiring new customers, and in many ways being able to grow the top line of revenue. However, when finding the lowest price is one click away on your mobile device, it's really, really difficult to create loyalty and sustainable competitive advantage when your business is based on price point. Third is the opportunity to drive a great customer service. And there are many brands who've differentiated based on the human-to-human connection that they're able to deliver and their ability to make the customer feel good based on what that person experienced at the moment in time. The reality, though, is that the world is digital, and it's becoming ever more so. And being able to scale and deliver that kind of human-to-human, person-to-person experience in the digital world makes that kind of high-touch service very difficult to be able to drive competitive advantage. So all of these remain important, but choosing any one of these is no longer enough to build sustainable competitive advantage for your business. If we look at what's going to make the difference in the future, it's really all about customer experience. Every one of us are customers in our daily lives, right? So we work for businesses, we're here because we work for businesses, but in reality, we're also customers as much as we are business people. And one of the things that's recognized is that as a customer, if you demonstrate that you know me and that you care about me, I'm much more likely to feel good about your business. Number two is if you make the experience for me valuable, where you're helpful to me with things before I even know I need that help, you drive a better experience for me. And third, because the world is digital and becoming ever more so, you need to be able to do this at scale to make me feel good about your business at every touch point. So in an era where the customer is king, it's the age of the customer, driving great customer experience, making them feel good about your brand, turning them into advocates of your brand, requires that you make every interaction personal, valuable, and realistically, it needs to be done digital. So let's look at some companies that may not be your direct competitors, but that are creating the landscape of customer experience expectation. So every one of these companies grew up in the digital age. They actually, I challenge you to find an 800 number on Amazon's website. I further challenge you to be able to speak to a live person from any of these companies. And the reality is that's never been part of their business model. They started with digital first. Second, and I think everybody recognizes this, these companies have a treasure trove of data, but more importantly, they use that data to proactively deliver personalized and valuable experiences. Right? Uber knows exactly where you are when you call for a cab. They know exactly where you're going. And as they gather more data about you, they can actually offer to bring you food to your home. Right? So it's no longer just a ride. Interestingly, that if you look at Amazon is the largest retailer in the world, and they have no stores. Uber is the largest taxi company in the world, and they have no cars. So their business models are inherently different from the ground up, and they're creating the customer experience expectations that all of us need to address as part of how we compete and how we build relationships with consumers. Selfishly for SundaySky, we're actually pretty happy that most of these companies, with the exception of Uber, have video as a core part of their business and a growing part of their business. So selfish plug for SundaySky, we believe that video is a core part of that strategy as well. So one thing that's interesting to note is if you go back to the inception of Amazon, I would say that all the bookstores felt some degree of threat from this new entrant to the market, right? That we're providing a much larger selection of books at better price points with a strong service level. The reality is, as they now are competing in all aspects of retail, but more importantly, have learned how to use the data that they've gathered to extend into markets that you might never have thought of. So they're actually competing with the cable companies. They're actually competing with the cloud service providers. And the way they've done that is by creating a relationship with their clients that actually allows that to extend beyond their original core business. So if you don't already feel threatened by the encroachment of these businesses into traditional business areas, you should be. So taking a look at it from a different perspective, the Fortune 500 in 2000 has only 250 left. Poof. 250 companies are either out of business or they've been acquired. And the study that was done by Business Insider predicts that in the next 10 years, another 40% of those companies will gone away. Another 100 companies, poof. And if you take a different perspective and you look at the workforce, in 2020, more than 50% of the workforce will be millennials. Without actually predicting ages, I'd say that the average demographic here is slightly older than the millennial generation. I clearly am. I actually have 2 millennials at home. I have a 19-year-old daughter. She is very active on Facebook, as are all of her friends. And I have a 15-year-old son who thinks Facebook is for old people. So even within the millennial generation, there are very, very significant distinctions. So the biggest challenge that exists today is how brands can move from a product-centric approach to a customer-centric approach, and what it means to drive a transformation to be able to pursue that strategy. We have a host of brands here that are in the middle of some sort of transformation. We're going to hear from a number of them today. 2 that jump to mind from discussions that I've had with leadership there are AT&T, who's moving from a connected networking business model to an entertainment business model, which is completely different, requires a completely different thought process, business model, execution approach, and really digital is at the heart of everything about that transformation. The second is Citibank. Citibank historically has been structured by product, so has had a product-centric approach to its customers, and now is moving towards a digital-first and really mobile-first customer engagement model, so placing the customer at the core of the business. So these transformations are hard, and it's challenging to think about it both from the execution organizationally and also the delivery operationally. And if you think about the need to put the customer at the center of the business and make every interaction personal, valuable, and digital, that's a hard transformation to undertake.